Who knew growing up could be so dull? Hey guys, it's John from Album Review TV. It's time for another review. Vampire Weekend's new album, Modern Vampires of the City, due out May 14th, originally due for a May 7th release, got pushed back as they had a few things to finish tweaking. The band has always been known for their experimental style, incorporating lots of world instruments and lots of instruments that you wouldn't expect a typical band to use, but they did it and they're still doing that. It's not quite as apparent as maybe on their debut self-titled record or even on their last album Contra, but Modern Vampires of the City shows the band growing up and also growing dull and boring. Half of this album feels lifeless to me. It's not the fact that they're slower paced songs, it's just the vocal style that Ezra's still bringing, and he doesn't get excited really much on this album. It doesn't feel like he's that into it. The instruments are so minimalistic at times that they're just barely going and snailing along in the background, not really progressing too much, not much going on. There's tracks, obviously, like Diane Young that prove the band still have it and can make these amazing electronically influenced songs filled with these huge fills, crazy drums all over the place. It reminds me of stuff like Cousins off of Contra or even Walcott off of their self-titled record. But really, there's nothing on this album other than a couple of tracks here and there that really do too much for me at all or draw me in as the listener. Diane Young and Fingerback are probably my two favorites off of this record, just because they actually show some life and show that the band's actually trying and putting forth a lot of effort into the music. I'm not saying that they didn't put effort into this album, that's not what I'm saying. It just feels like there's not too much going on here instrument-wise. For as talented as this band is, I don't care how old you're getting, you can still make upbeat music. Now, some of the tracks on this record do take on a style that I actually really enjoy. There's some good ones on here and ones that I'm really getting into. Like I said, Diane Young. Of course, I do like the B-side single to that, Step. That's a slower paced song that's done well. I really enjoy the instrumentation on that one and the progression throughout that song. It's even got some cool instruments in there that I wouldn't expect. There's even throughout the album, I like the use of the church organ and the guitar, some drum fills and electronics and synthesizers. It really sounds good when it all comes together and works for the good of the track, but there's ones that definitely do not use it for the good. Obvious Bicycle is a track that I can't fully get into, but it's definitely grown on me a lot. I can't quite put my finger on it. Something about it with the piano and it sounds like something's being recharged or redone. I can't explain the sound that it makes throughout the song, but it just it draws me in, it keeps me interested because I'm what is that? It's still going in the background. It's not lyrically that interesting or anything like that, but it's a solid song overall. Then we get into Unbelievers, and it actually picks things up a little bit. Unbelievers is a really nice tune. It's a chilled out tune. It's nothing too crazy upbeat or anything like that, but it's got some nice melodies and sounds and instruments in this track. I really do like it, and lyrically it's interesting. Don't Lie and Hannah Hunt are two others that have grown on me. I like the use of the organ in Don't Lie, so that track really takes off, and I think Ezra did a good job on the vocals on this one. Hannah Hunt, while minimalistic instrumentation is probably at the forefront of this one, it also shows some interesting vocals and something that I'm actually easily accessing. Now, I'm not saying stuff like Hannah Hunt is anything that's comparable to their past stuff. I'm not saying that this album's Horchata or California English or Giving Up the Gun or Cousins, anything like that. This doesn't really compare at all to that, but I'm saying on their own, not comparing it to anything, these are some decent tracks, but we're really going to get into the ones that just feel lifeless to me. Hudson is a track that totally bores me. I cannot get into it at all. It's just so slow-paced and just uninteresting and feels effortless, not much was put into this track at all. And then it goes into Young Lion, the closing short track for the record, and that one's not really doing much for me at all either. Echoey style vocals, piano and guitar mix, and it's just not really that good of a closer. I would have liked to go out on more of a positive and upbeat note, but that did not happen. Now, there are tracks that I'm digging towards the end of the record that not quite at the end, but we got Yahe, and that one's really, really interesting to me. I'm actually enjoying that one fully. Fingerback, the one I already mentioned that was one of my favorites, that one is very upbeat, catchy, fun, and all over the place musically. That one's really entertaining to listen to. Worship You, while not one of their best tracks, is still enjoyable for me. I like the occasional shouted like "hey" in the background over the fast-paced vocals. Ezra's really showing it off there that he can still do it. He still got it. They used to do a lot of that fast-paced singing, and that had been missing from me for the most part. I wasn't hearing it much on this record, and I'm really glad to see it here with Worship You. It's enjoyable. The whole track is well done, and like I said, not one of their best of all time or anything, but it's one of the best ones on this record. "Ya Hey" is really interesting. It's got that weird kind of vocal sample and distorted vocals on it, and I like that. And they do that in Diane Young as well. I like the fact that they kind of mash up the whole "baby, baby, 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 ride on" part. I like that a whole lot. Diane Young is one of my favorite tracks of the year so far. Would have loved to have seen more stuff like that on the record, but that's not the case. We'll take what we get here with Modern Vampires of the City. Overall, definitely nowhere near to being their best record. In fact, it's their worst album to date, in my opinion. 3 out of 5. There's not too much to it. There's not much that I will be revisiting from this album. Some of the tracks, while yes, a little bit entertaining, no substance to them really. I didn't know that them getting older was also going to mean them getting a little bit more lifeless with their music. So, sorry, Modern Vampires of the City is not really for me. Check it out and see what you thought. If you have heard it, let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Tastefully, respectfully, we'll get a discussion going. I will see you guys very soon. A lot more reviews coming in the coming week, and of course, the next month or so. If you want to see the full review schedule, tentative, of course, then it's in the description below as well. There's a lot of albums coming out. Make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys very soon.